Hey guys, King of Charmanders here, and today I bring you the best MrBeast Sword and Shield Driftsmelt builds. This video covers the best Driftsmelt builds for the MrBeast Sword and Shield. The MrBeast Sword and Shield is currently the strongest raw melee super weapon in the game. And here's a disclaimer, Driftsmelting is an endgame feature, it is extremely expensive and resource consuming. Here's the thing, you can go far without it, you don't need it. And it could take hundreds before you get a full Driftsmelt build. I know one of my viewers where they're like, I've done like hundreds and I still don't have a full Driftsmelt build. So the odds are really small. It's going to be really low. So if you're prepared, yes, you can do it. If you don't worry about it. Again, you could go far without it. First, we are going to start off with the top MrBeast Sword and Shield Driftsmelt builds. So here's the top three. You have the Bubbly Dance Resuscitate build, you have the Latent Power build, and then you have the most consistent build, which is the consistent crit build. The Bubbly Dance and Resuscitate level 3 build barely beats the most consistent build as far as damage goes. The difference between these three builds is so small, and so small enough that you want to consider the amount of difficulty it takes for you to use each one. In addition, the top build, which is the Bubbly Dance build, mind you, 3% better. In order for you to get that 3%, it requires you to adapt to the Bubble Blight mechanic movement and 6 Drift Stones. You need 6 Drift Stones for 3% more damage. So it's extremely expensive. As for the second top build, it requires Latent Power to activate. It's a conditional skill after 48 seconds and it lowers every 100 motion values. That's when you can activate and that's when you get the full power. In addition, you also need to Dritsmelt Crit Boost, which is event exclusive, or have the Lunar Mask. So it's event exclusive, and the Lunar Mask itself is event exclusive. It hasn't came out again since February 2024. And the best build in my opinion is the third build, which is more consistent as it does not fully rely on hitting weak spots to maximize crit chance, as build 1 only has weakness exploit and no critical eye. So in order to maximize your affinity damage, you must attack weak spots, and you're only going to solely rely on the MrBeast Sword and Shield's affinity boost if you do not happen to attack weak spots. And now we move on to the build, starting with the first one. MrBeast Sword and Shield Driftsmelt build number 1, the Bubbly Dance / Resuscitate build level 3. And this build requires 6 Driftsmelts. You need 4 Burst, which are Amber Drift Stones, and you need 2 Weakness Exploit or Wex, which are from Pale Driftstones. This build uses the Bubbly Dance / Resuscitate level 3 mechanic for 20% extra damage after 3 dodges to self-inflict Bubble Blight. And this build is the most expensive one and requires you to adapt to moving in a slippery state. It also barely does more damage than the other 2 builds. Again, it's 3%, a range of 3% between this one and the most consistent one. So, is it worth Driftsmelting 6 Drift Stones? I don't know, it's up to you. In addition, it also requires you to attack weak spots to maximize critical hits, as it only has Weakness Exploit level 4 and the crit from the MrBeast Sword and Shield, which is a total of a 70% affinity chance when you're attacking weak spots. To use this build, you need the MrBeast Sword and Shield at grade 10 or as high as you can get it, the Coral Puke Helmet at grade 8, the Mizutsune Mail at grade 8, Mizutsune Vambraces at grade 6, the Rothian Coil at grade 6, and the Mizutsune Greaves at grade 8. Next up, we have the MrBeast Sword and Shield Driftsmelt build number 2, which is Critical Boost level 4. And this build requires 5 times Driftsmelts, which requires 3 Burst from Amber Driftstones and 2 Critical Boost from Mysterious Driftstone A. And this build relies on the Latent Power boost again, and this build requires 2 exclusive Mysterious Driftstone A skills, which give you critical boost. It also requires the Lucky Lunar Helmet, which is not buildable unless you played the Lucky Lunar New Year event. Super exclusive, and again, totally not worth it unless you really want this. And it gives 60% affinity thanks to Critical Eye level 4, the MrBeast Sword and Shield, and it gives you 145% crit damage due to Critical Boost level 4. Overall, again, it's very exclusive as it requires a lot of exclusive Drift Stones and an event exclusive piece. The lucky Lunar New Year mask, it's probably going to come back one of these days, but it's not on this day. So this build, unless you have all these pieces and you really want a 1.9% increase in damage total average versus the third build, the most consistent build, I don't recommend you build this one. But again, it's only if you really want to. To use this build, you need the MrBeast Sword and Shield at grade 10, the Lucky Lunar New Year helmet at grade 6, the Devil Joe mail at grade 8, Rothian Van Braces at grade 8, the Pink Rothian Coil at grade 8, and the Kulu Yaku Greaves at grade 8. Up next, we had the best MrBeast Sword and Shield Driftsmelt build, number 3. Critical Eye level 4, Weakness Exploit level 4, and Critical Boost level 2. This build requires 5 times Driftsmelts, and you need 5 times Bursts, which come from Amber Driftstones. This is the most consistent out of all the top builds. This build does not require you to adapt to any new mechanics or any exclusive event Driftstones or gear. You don't need the Lucky Lunar New Year mask, which we don't know if it'll ever come back, or Mysterious Driftstone A, which gives you critical boost. And you don't need to roll around and try to adapt to the whole over movement, etc. from the Bubbly Dance and Resuscitate build. And it also has 100% affinity total when attacking weak spots and 60% when you aren't. So you're guaranteed to crit as long as you're attacking weak spots with this build. And Critical Boost level 2 increases your critical damage to 135%. The most consistent one, you will 100% crit and you don't have to rely on anything else. It's going to work consistently. And in order to use this build, you need the MrBeast Sword and Shield at grade 10, the Koro Puke helmet at grade 8, the Rathalos mail at grade 8, the Azarathalos Van Braces at grade 6, the Pink Rothian Coil at grade 8, and the Kulu Yaku Greaves at grade 8. But wait, we have one more build. This is the MrBeast Sword and Shield Driftsmelt build number 4, Skyward Striker level 5, and Burst level 5. This build requires 5 times Driftsmelts, and you need 3 times Burst from Amber Driftstones, 1 time Skyward Striker from Cyan Driftstone, and 1 times Critical Eye from a Cyan Driftstone. This build is meant to spam the MrBeast Bomb skill using the Falling Shield Bash combo. And Skyward Striker level 2 is maxed at level 5 to increase aerial attack damage by 40%, along with Burst level 5, which will increase attack power by 30% after you activate and maintain it. So, it's very simple. You keep attacking with your regular combo until you activate Burst, and then you spam the Falling Shield Bash combo like no tomorrow so that you can spam that along with the MrBeast Bomb. Weakness Exploit level 2 and Critical Eye level 1 is also the best combination per data. This gives you 65% affinity when attacking weak spots and 40% when you aren't. I know it's weird, but when you put those combinations together and you keep playing around with it, that's the best combination. To use this build, you need the MrBeast Sword and Shield at grade 10, the Bariath Helmet at grade 6, the Rathalos mail at grade 8, Rothian Van Braces at grade 8, the Bariath Coil at grade 6, and the Kushala Diora Greaves at grade 8. In closing, hopefully this guide helps you decide what MrBeast Sword and Shield Driftsmelt build to use. Remember, Driftsmelting is expensive and you should consider the time and resources it takes to make any full Driftsmelt build. It's gonna take a while, hopefully not hundreds. I've gotten really lucky and I've gotten 3 full Driftsmelt builds in a little over 300, but I know and I've heard and seen comments where you're like, I've spent me like 300 or hundreds to just get 1. So again, consider how expensive it's going to be. And please do me a huge favor, like, subscribe, and comment for the YouTube algorithm. Good luck on your grinds, and of course your Driftsmelts. May your Driftsmelts be fast and not take hundreds to get a full Driftsmelt build. Again, good luck on your grinds. May the drops be with you and the Driftsmelts be with you, and I will see y'all on the next video.